Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Mysteries and Oddities video. Alright, let's go ahead and let's do another one here based on one of your suggestions. This one actually a past suggestion from a couple of months back. And when I was looking at the info, I was surprised I picked this one before. Because I know I've talked about some of these so-called mysterious highways, haunted highways, cursed highways, whatever it may be throughout the US. But no, in looking at my videos, it looks like I just never came across this one here. But sure enough, when I was looking at all the info related to it, it is such good and juicy info. I absolutely just had to share it with everyone here. And I'm talking about this. You're looking at it now. Whatever this mysterious highway was, all the oddities associated with it, and there's several that I'll highlight here on this video. It was so much that it changed the actual name of the highway to Highway 491. But what it used to be, its most infamous name, was Highway 666. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the fascinating info associated with this mysterious highway. So what was this Highway 666? Well, it was actually a highway that was created a good while back, a couple of years back at least. And interestingly enough, it was named as such Highway 666 when it was first created. Isn't that amazing? Like, it was back in 2003 that this was essentially listed. I don't know if it was like a different highway back then, but in 2003 it was at least renumbered as Highway 666. Why that would happen, who knows? Obviously everyone you know, family members, co-workers, everyone knows that that number, even if you don't believe in it, is still associated with the supernatural, particularly with the devil, the number of the beast, the so-called number of the beast, when it comes to a representation of Satan. So how this renumbering happened and why it was finalized, who knows, but it did happen. But ever since then, this highway seemed to have a small bit of infamy before it was changed afterward to a different name. So the way the story goes is this highway, it stretches for a good while. In fact, it goes throughout several parts of Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico. In fact, you're looking at a good representation of it here. It seems to stretch more north to south throughout certain parts of its destination. And it stretches for a good while, so you can be on this highway for a good amount of time as you're traveling throughout most parts of the U.S. I mentioned this because several people that have encountered these mysterious items, these encounters with whomever these were on the highway, it had to do with the fact that there are these long, desolate stretches of this highway as you're traveling. And imagine that, like you're by yourself in the entire highway, pretty much from point in to point in, from one end of the horizon to the other one, and then you encounter these items that I'm going to mention here in a little bit. But yes, Highway 666 was designated, and once it happened, many people, many individuals stated that they began to feel like an ominous, weird sensation down this road, almost like it was a sense of evil or something else, just completely downtrodden, that they happened to experience on this road. And interestingly enough too, statistics pointed that there was a larger number of accidents and then even deaths that were on this highway once it became that number. Is this pure coincidence? Who knows? Is there an actual link to these statistics? I wasn't able to find one. It just seems like this is more of a, here's like a popular thing to say for this highway and it'll just stick. But as far as other statistics, if there truly are and someone wants to point them out, please post them below in the comments to share with everyone. But that's the notion associated with this highway, especially religious people, of course. Anybody that has a strong, faith in the devil, like in terms of the devil's existence, like Christians, Catholics, and others, they noted that this highway, this was something to completely avoid because of the number associated with it. And also, once they started hearing about these unusually high number of fatalities, high number of accidents happening throughout the road, then they knew that something was up. Now, here are some of the actual really mysterious encounters that happened on the road itself. So, having an accident, having a fatality from the accident, that can practically happen throughout any road, any highway whatsoever throughout the US. It just unfortunately does. But these encounters are just completely unexplained. Like the fact that multiple people saw these things, this just throws everything out of the water when it comes to this highway having its very, very noted distinction as being the highway to hell. So here's one, for example. It's known as Satan's Sedan. So the way the story goes is, remember I was mentioning earlier how when you're traveling down this road and you have one point to one end, just all by yourself from one horizon to the other, well, all of a sudden you start seeing this ominous sedan appear right from behind you, like in this case, the far, far distance. The only thing is, this sedan, who you can't really see who's in it or other details associated with it, all you know is that it's a black sedan. It starts charging to you as quickly as possible. And no matter how much you start to actually speed up, because by that point, the way people explain it is they start having this sensation of fear, like this growing fear, almost like an intense fear that's happening, because this ain't normal. Whenever they see this thing suddenly barreling down, coming straight towards them, well, no matter how fast they're going, this sedan is always catching up. And then at the very last second, whenever the people that are driving these cars turn to the side as quickly as possible, obviously trying to avoid, let's say, flipping over or crashing or spiraling out, whatever is the case, they're able to then turn right off the road. And when they do so, they see something, like in this case, this black sedan being driven by someone barreling by, just completely just like a bat out of hell, so to speak. Like this is something with very strong headlights, black ominous look to it. They can't see on the inside, obviously, because of that, and then also how quickly it's going, but they definitely hear it speeding past by. And then when they look back up, let's say out of fear, because in some of those cases people are closing their eyes or they're averting, expecting the worst, they suddenly discover that there's nothing there. There's no sedan this entire time, like especially considering again they can see into the far horizon in front of them. Where's the sedan? All of a sudden it is completely gone. So very interesting when it comes to that encounter. Another one that also has to do with a haunted, ominous, almost devilish feeling to it are the so-called hounds of hell. Very, very similar to a black sedan, but in this case, it's a pack of these threatening, vicious, just very, very evil-looking dogs. And the way that this story goes is these dogs, as crazy and as freaky as it sounds, and this would scare the hell out of me, these things will run as fast as the vehicle you're driving in is. So no matter how fast you're speeding in that vehicle and you see these animals suddenly on the side of the road, let's say in the distance, and they start running towards you, you'll start speeding, but they'll start catching up. And then finally there they are behind you and then right to the side of you as they're matching your speed. So isn't that crazy? You could just imagine these people freaking the hell out whenever they're trying to escape these things, because not only do they chase the cars themselves, but these hounds of hell are supposed to actually use their teeth, their razor sharp teeth, to bite into the tires and then shred them, causing some of the accidents. In fact, it's been stated that some of these accidents, or most of these accidents, a lot of the numerous ones from this highway, happen to originate from these hounds of hell, the people that encountered them. Some of them were even so brazen enough that they jumped right out of their vehicles, like they jumped out of the windows as the car was still driving by. They just had to get away from these animals before they encountered these things. So, or before something really, really seriously happened to them afterward. Another one that stands out is known as a pale spirit. This one is interesting because unlike the previous two encounters, this one is not something that is hostile. In fact, this actually harkens back to the classic tale of the hitchhiker girl, where you have someone that's walking down the side of the road in a gown, or that's more like white, almost like a nightgown of sorts. And then there she is, almost mute, like not responding to anything. usually with a sad face, face that shows that makes people want to show concern and want to pull over and ask what's going on. But of course, anytime that happens, that's when they realize they're dealing with something else different, because she just outright disappears. So that's also something. I wonder if this is the highway that inspired that urban legend, more of this hitchhiker, this girl hitchhiker, the ones that you've heard about and I've heard about throughout other encounters too. And then one other one here that's interesting too. I'm not going to mention much of it because I've stated in the past I don't really want to talk too much about them. Skinwalkers. Yes, indeed. Those of you that have asked me in the past to talk about these, I don't want to, because these things are apparently no-no. But yes, these skinwalkers are supposed to come on this highway too. They take the shape, of course, of anything, because they're shapeshifters. So they'll appear as regular people, they'll appear as animals, they'll appear as something else, also, just freaking the hell out of the people there too. But the idea goes that these skinwalkers are supposed to create accidents on this highway, because they'll appear all of a sudden right in front of the car, like bam, there you are driving, clear as day as can be, nothing in front of you, and then like an instant there's this thing in front of you. It could be taken on the shape of an animal, it could be taken on the shape of a person, but you're trying to avoid it. All of a sudden it causes you to crash, and in most cases it's a fatal accident. So it's supposed to be caused by these mischievous or almost evil skinwalker spirits. So interesting stuff when it comes to that. So this is one thing too that a lot of people, the ones that know about the skinwalkers, avoid this route specifically and warn others to do so, to not go this route because of the danger of these skinwalkers. And then one last thing to highlight, it has to do with this. I've mentioned this in some of my other videos, particularly the aliens, UFOs, but this highway is also known for this mysterious thing, and it has to do with disappearances, time loss. So the idea is, people that drive down this highway will all of a sudden be driving, and then like an instant they'll be elsewhere. They're not exactly sure exactly how that happened. There's no evidence that showcases that hey, I drove this entire time from point A to point B, but all of a sudden they are gone, either several hours, several days, or a very long period of time. They appear elsewhere, but they have no idea how that occurred, no recollection at all. And so they're trying to wonder what happened, what occurred. They look at their watch, or they realize that all of a sudden what was morning is now night, something along those lines, and that of course freaks them out. Is this something more along the lines of aliens? Were they abducted? Could this highway actually be a road in a sense that's used by extraterrestrials, especially considering again that it's a long, ominous highway with no witnesses for a very long time? Perfect ground for something along those lines. It's up to you to decide, but if you wanted to try to catch aliens or UFOs, this might be a good highway to try to see them in person. But yes, indeed, at least that's all the info associated with this ominous highway, this 666. So again, crazy that this thing would have been let's say created and then placed that way, named at least that way. I think it was actually created back in the 1920s, if I'm not mistaken, like this highway. It used to be known as some kind of state road of some sort, but eventually that renumeration made it to 666, but eventually it was changed to 491. Clearly, like, there were enough people that were freaking out and then wondering, what's going to happen. We're not going to keep up with this road and then have it be done that way. So either way, though, it all changed, and the numeration, I think, if I'm not mistaken, happened in the late 2000s. Someone point me out if that might have been incorrect. In fact, I think there was actually 666 within even earlier time period. Someone may please help me on that too. But either way, it was changed in the 2000s, late to the new highway, the one you see now, the Highway 491, and it stayed that way ever since. So pretty interesting stuff. If anybody has any more info, anything else I might have missed, please post those comments below. That'd be really great to hear. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.